What's up, guys? Justin at Empire Music, empiremusic.com. Here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Empire Music is a Martin custom expert dealer, and as a Martin custom expert dealer, we get the chance to bring you some really cool guitars. So Joe and I were at the factory about a year ago and hand-selected 99 sets of wood for builds that are just starting to roll in to Empire Music here in the late spring of 2025. So one of the big stories with that wood selection was Honduran Rosewood. When Joe and I were at the factory, we really cleaned them out of Honduran Rosewood at that time. So we got, I want to say, at least 50 sets or so of Honduran. And that's what we're going to show off in this video today. I have a 0028 with Honduran Rosewood back and sides. Spec just like a standard, but with coming off the custom shop line and with beautiful Honduran Rosewood on the back and side. So we've done a deep dive video on these guitars. Joe did an excellent video on these. So if you want to hear Joe do his deep dive into dynamic range and all that kind of stuff, check out that video. Really informative. In this video, take it a step farther. We're gonna compare Honduran Rosewood with East Indian Rosewood, which we know and love from the standard series. So this is a 2025 refreshed 0028, and obviously has the East Indian Rosewood back and sides, and we'll do a sonic comparison. So first, before I get into that, let me just kind of talk about Empire Music more broadly. You know, this guitar, all the guitars we sell, available by serial number, empiremusic.com, no stock images, full pro setup before we ship these to you. Not that these guitars need much by way of setup, but it is something that we do to ensure that the guitar that you get is going to be dialed in. And third, finally, before I get into it, we take trades on custom shop and everything else that we sell. So we do long distance trades frequently, all the time. We will send you a prepaid label. We want your trades. So if you see something in this video or on the website that you're interested in, give us a call. We'll talk you through the process. It's very easy. We will get you trade value and make it happen. All right, so Martin Custom Shops. Like I said, Honduran Rosewood is going to be a big part of our story through the rest of 2025 with Martin. It's a tone wood that we really like a lot. And why do we like Honduran Rosewood? Well, it's going to offer you a few things that East Indian Rosewood does not have, or maybe doesn't have as much of. One is going to be clarity. And that's kind of a biggie out of the gate that I hope comes across in this video as I play these two guitars. There is a maybe a roundness and a darkness to East Indian Rosewood that by itself you might not kind of appreciate that, or it might not even be there. But by comparison, that's what I would expect you to hear in this video. There's a little bit more of a darker quality to the East Indian Rosewood and more clarity, more projection, more complex overtones from Honduran Rosewood. So it's just kind of a richer Rosewood that really gives you a little bit more. I notice playing these two guitars ahead of shooting this video for you, a little bit maybe more headroom, or at least that's the perceived experience. And maybe part of that is the clarity, part of that is the projection, the strength of the wood. It feels like this guitar has a slightly higher gear to it, which I really like. So again, full specs on the website and in the other deep dive video, but just very briefly, kind of broadly, we spec these guitars. We knew ahead of time last summer that Martin was going to do the refresh to the standard series. So knowing that, we incorporated all those changes into these guitars. So we have our authentic fingerboard thickness, the thinner fingerboard. We have golden era bracing. We have all the changes, the longer transitional volute up top, the way that the nut is cut, the rolled edges to the fingerboard and the bridge, all of those changes we incorporated into these builds. And like I said, big part of the story in 2025, Honduran Rosewood. You will see this very soon. Martin is completing production on some another batch of these guitars. So limited run, I think we only did maybe 4 of these, the 0028 in the amber tone. I believe we have some natural on the way. We have some dreadnoughts on the way as well. So get them while you can. And I don't know that Honduran Rosewood is available yet again with the custom shop that we will find out soon. So also, if you go to the website and check these out, one of the beautiful things about Honduran Rosewood, as with all, a lot of woods on the back and side, is really just the uniqueness of the grain on these. So, we have the sapwood in the middle here, and that's one of the cool things that we get to do when we go to the factory and they lay out sets of wood and we're going through them and choosing them. It's just really how visually striking some of these can be. And Martin has the best wood experts in the world in the guitar space. They have the best sourcing. The material that is available to us as a Martin custom expert dealer that we are able to choose for you is the best of the best. So I can't stress that enough. Best wood, the best people building these guitars. They're just knockout guitars. So I couldn't be happier with how these guitars turned out. But enough of that. Let's get to playing. I'll do a playing example here. We'll do some strumming and some finger picking, and let me know in the comments what you hear. A lot of the nuance of guitars is something that you really feel as a player, and only so much of that can come through microphones. But I will tell you that everything I said up front holds true. That the complexity, maybe a little more bell-like on the high end, tighter lows. These Honduran Rosewoods just sound really good. So, all right, let's get into it. We'll do some playing here. right, so there's our comparison between the custom shop with Honduran Rosewood backinsides and the standard with East Indian Rosewood. Now, all I can speak to is my experience as a player, and both guitars are awesome. I own a guitar very similar to this with East Indian Rosewood, and I can really appreciate what Honduran Rosewood does to the sound of the instrument. What I notice is it feels like a more responsive guitar, but maybe a better way to say it is the guitar has more liveliness. It's a more alive instrument in your hands. So, and I equate that liveliness with, things like, again, the clarity. We get a little more note separation on this and just more complex overtones. So if you like East Indian Rosewood and you're familiar with that sound and you like what it does for you as a player, I would encourage you to, seek out a guitar, whether it's this or something else or from a different manufacturer. Seek out Honduran Rosewood. I think you might be, pleasantly surprised with what it offers. It gives you that little extra gear. If you have questions about these guitars, these Empire exclusives, hit us up. We're going to the factory in a few weeks. At the time of shooting this video, we'll be selecting more wood for more custom builds. We work with the custom shop all the time on these. So whether it's something that we sell or something you're dreaming up as a player, don't hesitate to reach out. We can walk you through the custom build process or get you a custom Martin that fits with the sound that you're chasing perfectly. So thanks for watching. Again, full specs on the website. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.